All right, as we come back on Fox Business to talk about China, a lot of people say they're worried about a hard landing in that economy and what it might do to ours. Yu-Dee Chang's not one of those people. He's the chief trader at Ace Investments and joins us now. Yu-Dee, I know you've been talking to people inside and outside of China, and those on the outside are more worried than those on the inside. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely the case. It's really interesting, especially analysts over in Europe and United States here. I would say for the past maybe about 3 or 4 months has been extremely bearish on China. I think by examining, Connor, just the cold fact data, maybe it shows that Chinese growth is really slowing down. However, if you look at in real terms and talking to people inside of China,
right,
you know, the word they say over there is saying that, you know, I'm sorry, I guess our golden era is over. We're entering into our silver era. So they're not concerned at all. They think the growth is going to be there for at least another 50 years.
Yeah, they'll take growth. If it's 7 or 8%, it's still growth and strong growth at that. All right, let's explore this just a little bit further because it matters to our economy what happens over there. When's the last time you personally were in China, Yu-Dee?
I was in China about a little bit less than a year ago.
Okay.
Last time I was there was May of last year.
All right, and your observation then was what? That people were saying, hey, this is still going to keep going? They weren't worried about a real estate bubble or looking at all these high rises and saying this can't go on forever? There was none of that?
Absolutely is some of that. Actually, most people do recognize the fact that there might be a, I guess, oversupply of housing there. But don't forget, Connor, housing is just one thing. You got to think about China is still different than the Western world. There's many more things that they still need in addition to housing. Housing is just a start, right? They need infrastructure. They need sports complexes. They need hospitals, healthcare facilities. They need recreational facilities. There's a lot more construction or infrastructure that needs to go on in addition to just the housing itself. Right. So, and don't forget, just over maybe a year ago, the whole world was saying, please slow down a little bit of the growth in China. They wanted a so-called soft landing, and we're getting that 7% growth and alleviating some of the inflationary problems over there. And also, don't forget, also that took care of some of the currency's valuation problem as well as their trade surplus problem. So actually, this so-called slowdown is actually pretty good.
The answer from the people who still believe in a hard landing or collapse or whatever in China is that this 8% growth is nonsense and that the government makes up the figures and it's probably more like 5 or 6%. And you say what to that?
Well, you know what? Actually, that is pretty much a cold fact, too, that most people probably do agree with that. But whether it's going to be 5% or maybe it's 11%, it still remains to be seen. So, yeah, the data there is not as accurate. Everybody knows that. So the best way, I still say, is for someone to actually go there and take a look with your own eyes. You know, people are joking around saying the national bird of China these days is the crane, of course, because you see construction cranes everywhere in that country, right? So if you see the way they still so-called expand, and even outside of their own country, that is. So the economy, don't forget, also in China, like you're saying, in addition to the official data, there's also a so-called underground economy that is really not reported or not shown, and that is a fairly huge and decent economy over there as well. So net, all in all speaking, by talking to the people over there, by observing the people, the way they live over there, yes, the growth, no doubt, has slowed down. However, it's not going to a so-called recessionary scenario or catastrophe scenario. The growth still goes on there.
All right, Yu-Dee, good talk today, and big deal for us potentially if it did slow down too much. But soft landing, says Yu-Dee Chang. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.